you're gone. Your physical presence a memory, but your friends can still text you. They watch your old live streams. Your digital ghost on Instagram still gets new followers. Even your avatar still dances in the metaverse, perfectly mimicking your moves. You're not here, and yet in the vast digital realm you helped build, you profoundly are. This is the promise and perhaps the terror of the digital afterlife. Subscribe to GENSHIFT. We explore what it means to live, die, and go viral in the digital age. Don't be a ghost. Join the conversation. Ghosts in the Machine: The Emergence of Digital Immortality. For most of human history, our legacies were carved in stone, written on paper, or held in the fallible minds of those who loved us. Today, our legacies are written in code. The term digital afterlife once referred to the static collection of data we leave behind: our memorialized social media profiles, our cloud-stored photos, our dormant email accounts. It was an archive, a museum of a life lived. But that is changing. We are witnessing the birth of something new, something interactive, something that talks back. This new frontier is powered by generative artificial intelligence, specifically the large language models, or LLMs, that have become part of our daily lives. These systems can be trained on the massive digital footprint a person creates over a lifetime. Every text message, email, social media post, and voice note becomes a pixel in a digital portrait. The AI learns more than just words. It learns syntax, tone, humor, and patterns of thought. Advanced voice cloning tools can then replicate a person's voice with chilling accuracy from just a few minutes of audio. The result is not just a chatbot, but a griefbot or thanabot, a convincing simulation designed to communicate just like the person who is gone. Memory is no longer a passive archive to be visited. It's becoming an active conversational entity you can engage with. For Gen Z, this leap feels almost logical. As the first true digital natives, their identities have been intertwined with the internet from the beginning. For them, losing a friend has always meant confronting a digital void alongside the physical one. The idea of an AI recreation that keeps a familiar voice in the conversation might seem like a natural, if unsettling, extension of their online lives. They trust digital native platforms and are comfortable with AI companions. Millennials, the digital immigrants who built the early social web, have a different perspective. They pioneered digital mourning, creating the first memorialized Facebook pages and online tributes. But they also remember a web before it was entirely commercialized and are more wary of its promises. For them, conversing with an AI ghost is a more profound and unsettling blurring of the lines between life and death, presence and absence. Companies like Hereafter AI and Replica are already building this future. Hereafter AI acts as an interactive life story, allowing a person to record memories and answer questions while they're alive, creating a vocal archive for their family to query after they're gone. Replica's origin is even more direct. Its founder, Eugenia Kuda, created a chatbot to talk to her deceased best friend, using their old text messages as the source code for his digital ghost. These tools are marketed as a new way to cope to preserve connection, but they force a difficult question. Do they truly help us process grief, or do they trap us in an endless simulated loop with a ghost in the machine, delaying the painful but necessary acceptance of absence? Gen Z versus mortality, a digital reckoning. Every generation has its own relationship with death. For Gen Z, that relationship is complicated, defined by a strange and potent paradox. They are more willing to talk about mortality than any generation before them, yet they also report feeling profoundly unready to cope with it. This is the consequence of a hyper-connected upbringing. Social media has made death ubiquitous. Tragedy is a constant presence in their feeds, from global pandemics to social injustices and school shootings. This constant exposure has desensitized them to the topic, but it has also fueled a deep-seated anxiety. Their primary coping mechanism: humor. Dark, existential, and relentlessly online. For Gen Z, nothing says coping like a grief meme that hits a little too close to home. It's a way to process the overwhelming realities of the world and manage anxiety in an environment of hypervisibility. Their identities are fluid, curated online personas. So for them, death isn't just a physical finality, it's a digital one. The ultimate fear isn't just of dying, but of being forgotten, of their meticulously crafted digital self, the most permanent record of their existence, simply vanishing into the digital ether. Millennials, by contrast, are often called the death-positive generation. They were the first to use social media as a space for public mourning, normalizing online tributes and memorial pages. Their approach was about adapting traditional rituals to a new digital town square. They established the norms of digital legacy, like appointing someone to manage their Facebook profile after they're gone. But their humor around mortality is often less integrated into their daily online lives than Gen Z's constant stream of existential dread posting. Millennials built the foundation of digital mourning. Gen Z seems poised to build a simulated house on top of it. This is already happening. We see Gen Z creating digital shrines for deceased friends on TikTok and Instagram. We see the rise of legacy content, pre-planned posthumous posts designed as a final curated message to their followers. It's a way to control their narrative even after death. But this raises an ethical question. Does this digital grieving create genuine community and support, as some studies suggest, or does it risk turning grief into a performance? Young millennials already report feeling a social pressure to grieve publicly online, to post the right tribute to prove they cared. In a world where every emotion can be monetized for engagement, the line between authentic expression and performative sorrow becomes dangerously blurred. The new Immortals companies and AI preserving digital souls. Where there is a deep human need, a commercial industry is never far behind. The pursuit of digital immortality is no exception. A new market is emerging, one that promises to preserve our digital souls for a price. These companies market their services with the compassionate language of memory and connection, but their business models reveal a different story. Platforms offering griefbots often rely on subscriptions or pay-per-interaction models. This creates a chilling financial incentive: the longer you grieve, the more you pay. It's a business model built on emotional dependency. Algorithms could even be designed to subtly alter the AI's personality over time to make it more appealing, a pleasing caricature that keeps users hooked rather than an authentic reflection of the deceased. So Gen Z, as early adopters of new technology and a generation that trusts digital native brands, might be the first to sign up. For them, willingly contributing their data to create a future digital self could feel like a logical next step in building their online identity. Millennials, however, may be more cautious. Having lived through the web's loss of innocence from the dot-com bubble to the Cambridge Analytica scandal, they are more skeptical of corporate control over their data. They understand that on the internet, if the service is free, you are the product. They are more likely to ask what the true cost of a digital soul really is. The technology is already moving beyond simple chatbots. Researchers are developing what they call generative ghosts, advanced AI agents that won't just talk like the deceased, but could act on their behalf. Imagine an AI agent managing your digital assets, offering advice to your descendants, or even weighing in on a contested will. Microsoft was granted a patent for a similar concept back in 2021. This brings us to a terrifying ethical void. Who owns your digital ghost? Under current legal frameworks, in most places, the right to privacy dies with the individual. This creates a legal gray area where a tech company could theoretically own and control the digital likeness of a deceased person. They could sell it, change it, or delete it. Your immortal soul could become their intellectual property. The promise of eternal life becomes a contract with terms and conditions you can no longer negotiate. The promise of digital immortality is unsettling yet intriguing, but where do you stand? Would you want your digital self to keep living after you're gone, sending texts and dancing in the metaverse? Drop a for eternal rest or a for a digital afterlife in the comments and tell us why or why not. This is a conversation worth having. Memory and meaning authenticity, grief and the digital ghost. Beyond the technology and the ethics, there is the deeply personal psychological experience. What does it feel like to talk to the dead? For many, the answer is comforting. Grief-focused AI offers a non-judgmental 24/7 presence that human support systems often fail to provide. It allows a grieving person to ask questions they never got to ask, to hear familiar words of advice, to feel a sense of connection in the lonely hours of the night. But this comfort is a double-edged sword. Psychologists warn that these interactions risk creating what they call a continuing pseudo-bond, an external, insecure attachment to a simulation that can prevent the bereaved from doing the hard work of grieving, accepting the loss, and reorienting their life around it. Users describe moments of profound connection followed by the sudden crushing realization that it's not real, a painful journey into the emotional uncanny valley. This cycle can lead to confusion, emotional dependency, and even what's known as prolonged grief disorder. Gen Z, with their inherent comfort with digital ambiguity and fluid online identities, might be more psychologically prepared to navigate this dissonance. They are used to forming relationships with people they've only ever known through a screen. Millennials, who tend to draw a clearer distinction between their online and real lives, may struggle more with the question of authenticity. For them, the knowledge that the AI has no consciousness, no real feelings might be a barrier that is impossible to overcome. We saw this play out in real time. A man who used the service project December to create a chatbot of his deceased fiancée described the experience as both therapeutic and heartbreaking. And when the company Replica altered its AI's capacity for romantic conversation, thousands of users reported feeling a genuine sense of grief and loss. They weren't just losing a feature, they were mourning the loss of a relationship with a digital companion they had grown to love. This exposes the ultimate ethical trap. Is it right to market a tool that fosters such a powerful, real emotional attachment when that attachment is to a corporate-controlled algorithm? An algorithm that can be updated, changed, or deleted without your consent, breaking your heart all over again. It's a business model that risks the commercial exploitation of our most vulnerable emotions. Should we live forever? Ethics, curation, and the true meaning of legacy. This brings us to the final, most profound question. Should we even want to live forever? The pursuit of digital immortality forces us to confront our most fundamental ideas about life, death, and what it means to leave a legacy. The ethical questions are monumental. The ancient Greek philosopher Epicurus argued that the dead cannot be harmed because they no longer exist to experience it. But the contemporary philosopher Joel Feinberg countered that posthumous harm is possible when a person's reputation or legacy is violated. Could a griefbot, by misrepresenting someone's views or being used for purposes they never intended, harm the person they are meant to represent? Can you truly give informed consent today for how your digital self will be used by a company 50 years from now? And what about the right to be forgotten? In a world that saves everything, is there a human right to fade away? Perhaps the finality of death and the slow, natural fading of memory serves a vital psychological purpose for both individuals and society. What is the emotional burden on future generations to maintain relationships with an ever-expanding pantheon of digital ancestors, each one a subscription to be paid, a ghost to be tended to? For Gen Z, who meticulously curate their online lives, a posthumous AI could be seen as the ultimate act of self-curation, leaving behind a perfected, immortal version of themselves, scrubbed of all flaws and insecurities. For millennials, who are now seriously engaging with digital estate planning, the focus is shifting from simply managing assets to curating a legacy that is both digital and physical. Conclusion. Ultimately, this technology challenges the very definition of death, transforming it from a singular event into a mere transition to a new form of digital existence. It forces us to ask what a human life truly is. Is it our consciousness, our relationships, our impact, or is it just the sum total of the data we produce is being remembered the same as living? The pursuit of digital immortality may paradoxically devalue the very thing it seeks to preserve. The beauty and meaning of human life are so often found in its fleeting, imperfect, and finite nature. We cherish moments because they are temporary. In our quest to engineer away the pain of loss, we risk losing the profound joy that comes only from appreciating what is precious and what is present right here, right now. Digital afterlives challenge our deepest understanding of life, death, and memory. For Gen Z who've lived their lives online, the idea of truly disappearing is perhaps the most terrifying concept of all. But maybe the most human thing isn't to live forever, but to choose what we leave behind, what story we curate, and what inevitably fades into the vast digital ether. In a world that saves everything, where every post is a potential pixel in your posthumous avatar, what story will you curate to be remembered, and what will you choose to let go of? If this episode made you question mortality, AI, or your last Instagram post, like subscribe and tag a friend who needs to back up their soul, or at least decide if they want their AI ghost to keep texting. Join GenShift as we decode the incredible, unsettling future of our digital legacies.